Now, when he says, I am, since he does not want to be identified as a chair, or be identified as a tree, or be identified as a man. In fact, there's a passage in the Bible that says, I am not a man, that I should lie. Did you hear that part there? Now, that's even more complicated. We say, we are created in his image, after his own likeness. And Nzwe 6-0 comes around and says, I'm actually God, and I'm not a man. So in the midst of your imagination of what I look like, don't look at yourself and think that I look like you. I made you in my image, in my likeness. So what is the likeness of the image of God? That's for serious theologians. It might remain with a few of us talking on the forms and norms of God. Come with me. A little bit of philosophy will help us because we're going somewhere. The lowest, the most primitive form of human existence is physicality. Physical. This is the most primitive of all forms of life. It's a manifestation of this. Hello? This is the most primitive. Why? Because what is more important is not the shape of this thing, but what you can see, the software that is inside this form. And that software will be nothing without a signal somewhere and a service provider somewhere who makes this useful. You can't see that. And that on its own is actually useless without a brain sitting somewhere in the company called Apple who thinks as to what must go into this thing, yes or no. So there is more which we can't see than that which we can see. Those who survive, therefore, only on what is visible, forfeit the opportunity to experience what is invisible, yet present. The fact that you are looking at me right now, I can't see your brains. It doesn't mean that they are not there. They are invisible, yet they are present. Your behaviors cannot be qualified only by what I see. For what I see can deceive me. Eyes can only see in 1D. In some certain instances, in 2D. When there is enough light, you may see 3D. With extra help, 4D. Here, there, 5D. You can see under and over. 6D, 7D. It becomes spiritual and supernatural. Therefore, when you look at me, even when you say you're looking at me, you're only looking at me on one side. A little bit of my ears, my back you can't see, but I'm present. To trust your eyes, therefore, is to have a limited sight into the realities of what is really there. Don't deal with people, therefore, on facial value. Deal with them at a spiritual level. Come on, guys. If you can see it, it is temporal and it is cheap. For what we cannot see is spiritual and permanent. Don't make decisions based on the physically visible. Make decisions on the spiritually invisible but present. One of my favorite scripts, I always say this, therefore don't worry about the man who steals your car. Worry about he who is with him who steals your car. It's not about the one who is insulting you and cursing and swearing at you. If I were you, I'd close my eyes and see that one who is with him, who is cursing and swearing. For there is a voice that is managing the visible in the space of the invisible. Therefore, to fight the physical is to lose the battle of the spiritual. Eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth will leave the whole world toothless and blind. Will have killed each other and missed the real enemy behind the curtain. Therefore, use physical strength for physical stuff. But when you want to deal with issues, use spiritual understanding to deal with physical impossibilities. For there is always a whisper of the supernatural behind the natural.